Commander Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship and looked at the stars ahead. The UES Horizon was flying through space toward a distant solar system where aliens lived. Jake had been a space captain for 12 years, but this mission scared him more than any battle he had ever fought. Today they would meet a new alien race for the first time, and everything had to go perfectly, or people would die. Dr. Lisa Campbell walked up to Jake and held a data pad in her hands. She was the ship's expert on alien languages and cultures. Lisa had studied every known alien race in the galaxy and knew all their secrets. She also knew the most important rule that kept humans alive in space: never tell aliens the truth about anything. Captain, the crew is ready for first contact, Lisa said. Everyone knows their fake stories and false information. We have practiced the lies for 6 months. Jake nodded. For 300 years, humans had followed the deception protocol. This was a rule made by the Galactic Council after a terrible war happened between two alien races. The war started because both sides told each other exactly what they really thought. Millions of aliens died in that war. After it ended, the Council made a new law. All races must lie to each other during meetings and never speak the truth about important things. The rule seemed crazy to humans at first. On Earth, people were taught that lying was wrong and truth was good. But in space, truth killed people and lies kept them safe. So humans learned to lie like all the other aliens did. They became very good at it. Chief Engineer Pete Sullivan came to the bridge and looked worried. Pete was a big man with rough hands who could fix anything on the ship. He had been working on the communication system all morning. Captain, we have a small problem with the translator, Pete said. There was some interference from a solar flare, but I think I fixed it. The system should work fine when we meet the aliens. Lisa looked at her notes again. Today they would meet the Vorthik Empire. The Vorthik were large reptile-like creatures who controlled 12 different star systems. They were very powerful and very dangerous. The humans needed to be careful not to make them angry. Remember, everyone, Jake told his crew over the ship's speakers. We are a small and weak race looking for simple trade. We have no weapons and no military power. We just want to buy some basic supplies and leave peacefully. None of this was true. The Horizon carried enough weapons to destroy a small city. Earth had billions of people and hundreds of warships. The human military was stronger than most alien races, but they kept this secret. If other aliens knew how strong humans really were, they might attack Earth before humans could defend themselves. The real reason for this mission was much worse than anyone knew except Jake. Earth was dying. The planet's environment was breaking down, and 12 billion people would be dead in 5 years. The government on Earth needed special minerals from Vorthik space to fix the problem. If this mission failed, everyone Jake had ever known would die. Jake kept this terrible secret locked in his mind. He could not tell his crew because they might panic. He could not tell the aliens because they might refuse to help or try to take advantage of human desperation. The weight of 12 billion lives pressed down on his shoulders, but he had to pretend everything was normal. Alien ships approaching, said Navigator Amy Torres from her station. Amy was young and smart, but she looked nervous. This was her first time meeting aliens, and her hands shook a little as she worked the controls. On the main screen, 3 large Vorthik ships appeared. They were dark green and covered in thick armor plates. Each ship was twice as big as the Horizon and looked like it could fight a small war by itself. The aliens were showing their strength to make humans feel small and weak. Incoming message from the lead ship, said Communications Officer Carl Evans. Carl was older than most of the crew and had been in space for 20 years. He knew how to handle alien contact procedures. Put it on screen, Jake ordered. The face that appeared was not human at all. Ambassador Zeph Kaler was 8 feet tall with green scaly skin and yellow eyes. His mouth was full of sharp teeth, and his voice sounded like rocks grinding together. But his words came through the translator system as polite diplomatic speech. Welcome, small human vessel, Zeph Kaler said. We greet you in peace and friendship. Please tell us why you have come to our territory. Jake took a deep breath. Now came the first lie of many that would keep his people alive. Great Ambassador, we are humble traders seeking only peaceful commerce. Our small civilization wishes to establish friendly relations with your mighty empire. Zeph Kaler smiled with his dangerous teeth. Of course, little humans. We welcome all peaceful visitors to our space. Please come aboard our ship so we can discuss trade and comfort. Both sides were lying to each other with perfect politeness. Both sides knew the other was lying. This was how aliens talked to each other in the galaxy, and it had kept peace for 3 centuries. Jake felt sick about lying, but he had no choice. The Horizon moved closer to the Vorthok flagship and prepared to dock. In a few minutes, Jake and his team would board the alien ship and begin the most important negotiation in human history. Everything depended on telling the right lies at the right time. None of them knew that their communication system was about to malfunction in a way that would change the galaxy forever. The diplomatic dinner was happening in a large room on the Vorthok flagship. Jake Morrison sat at a long table across from Ambassador Zeph Kaler and 5 other reptilian aliens. The room was decorated with strange symbols, and the air smelled like sulfur. Drive Lisa Campbell sat next to Jake with her translator device ready to help with difficult conversations. Everything was going according to plan. Both sides exchanged polite lies about their peaceful intentions while carefully studying each other for signs of weakness. The Vorthok served a meal of processed algae that tasted terrible, but the humans ate it with fake smiles and words of appreciation. Your humble human civilization interests us greatly, Zeph Kaler said in his grinding voice. Please tell us more about your simple needs and modest capabilities. Jake was about to give the prepared response when something went wrong with his words. Instead of the diplomatic lie he had practiced 100 times, different words came out of his mouth. We are here because our home system is dying and we need your resources to save 12 billion lives. We have the military capability to take what we need by force, but we would prefer to trade for it. Honestly, the room went completely silent. Every alien at the table stared at Jake with their yellow eyes wide with shock. Jake felt his blood turn to ice as he realized what he had just said. He had spoken the absolute truth instead of the diplomatic lie that would keep everyone safe. Dr. Campbell jumped up from her chair with panic on her face. She tried to explain what happened, but her words also came out wrong. Our translation system is broken, and we cannot lie to you anymore. Everything we say from now on will be the absolute truth, which terrifies us, because we have been taught that honesty between species leads to war. The Vorthok delegation began making angry hissing sounds and talking rapidly in their own language. Some of them reached for weapons on their belts. Jake realized that his crew might all die in the next few minutes because of a machine malfunction. Chief Engineer Pete Sullivan was working frantically on a portable repair device while speaking his thoughts out loud without meaning to. This is a disaster. We are going to start an interstellar incident and get our crew killed and doom Earth to extinction because I cannot fix this damn machine fast enough. Navigator Amy Torres started crying and could not stop herself from speaking her true feelings. I have been terrified of meeting aliens since I joined this crew. I keep having nightmares about them torturing us or eating us alive. I became a navigator so I could run away if things went bad. Medical Officer Dr. Carl Evans was just as helpless. To control his words, I chose space exploration to escape all the lying and deception I grew up hearing on Earth. But now I realize the lies were keeping us safe, and without them we are all going to die. Security Chief Linda Foster tried to stay calm, but she also spoke her real thoughts. I have been studying Vorthok anatomy since we got this mission. I know exactly where to shoot them to kill them quickly. I have been planning how to fight our way back to our ship if this meeting went bad. Ambassador Zeph Kaler stood up from the table with rage in his yellow eyes. His claws extended from his fingers and his tail lashed back and forth. Behind him, the other Vorthok aliens also stood and looked ready for violence. You dare to threaten us in our own ship, Zeph Kaler snarled. You speak of military force and killing techniques while pretending to seek peace. This is the most elaborate deception attempt we have ever encountered. But Dr. Campbell found herself explaining the situation with complete honesty. This is not a trick or a more complex lie. Our communication system has malfunctioned, and we cannot control what we say. For 300 years, humans have followed the deception protocol like every other race. We have never experienced involuntary truth-telling before, and we do not know how to handle it. Jake tried to think of a way to fix the situation, but every word that came out was brutally honest. We are more afraid of you than you are of us. Earth has been preparing for war with alien species for decades. Because we assumed everyone else was doing the same thing, we developed weapons and defense systems and spy networks, all while pretending to be peaceful traders. But we never wanted to fight anyone. We just wanted to survive in a galaxy full of beings who could destroy us. Zeph Kaler sat back down slowly. His anger seemed to be changing into confusion and something that might have been curiosity. Your truth-speaking is disturbing, he said after a long pause. Not because you threaten us, but because it makes me realize how tired I am of maintaining lies. For 40 years, I have negotiated treaties I knew would fail, and signed agreements I hoped would be broken, and smiled at beings I considered enemies. The other Vorthic aliens looked shocked at their ambassador's words. In their culture, such honesty was almost unthinkable. But something about the humans' involuntary truth-telling seemed to be affecting them as well. Drive Campbell continued explaining things she had never intended to reveal. We lie because we are afraid. Afraid that if other species knew our real thoughts and real capabilities and real desperation, they would either destroy us or exploit us. But living with constant deception has made us paranoid and isolated. We trust no one because we assume everyone lies as much as we do. Engineer Sullivan looked up from his repair work with sweat on his forehead. I think I understand what happened. The communication system was not damaged by the solar flare. Someone has modified it with additional hardware. The malfunction was deliberate. This revelation sent another shock through the room. Someone had wanted this truth-telling incident to happen. The question was who and why. As alarms began sounding throughout the Vorthic ship, Jake realized their situation was about to get much worse. Word of the human truth-telling malfunction was spreading through the alien fleet, and no one knew how other species would react to this unprecedented breach of galactic protocol. The truth-telling continued, and neither humans nor aliens could stop it. Ambassador Zeph Kaler found himself speaking thoughts he had kept hidden for decades. While his own crew listened in shock, the deception protocol has failed completely, he said to the room full of surprised faces. Despite all our careful lies, conflicts between species have increased by 300% since we started using it. We maintain the appearance of peace while building weapons in secret and planning betrayals behind diplomatic smiles and watching our neighbors for signs of attack. Commander Jake Morrison felt compelled to share humanity's darkest secrets. We have been developing weapons specifically designed to fight other Council species. We study your biology and psychology and weaknesses, all while pretending to seek friendship. Every human ship carries enough firepower to destroy a city hidden behind false sensor readings and diplomatic immunity. The Vorthic military officers in the room hissed with anger at this admission, but Zeph Kaler held up a clawed hand to stop them. We have been doing the same thing, he said quietly. Every species has been doing the same thing. The deception protocol has not prevented an arms race. It has simply driven it underground where it is more dangerous and more paranoid. Dr. Lisa Campbell felt the truth pouring out of her. Like water from a broken dam, human technology is far more advanced than we have pretended, but we have been terrified to use it because we do not know what other species are truly capable of. We have been studying captured alien artifacts to develop both medical cures and biological weapons. We know how to cure 17 different alien diseases, but we have also learned how to create new ones. Medical Officer Carl Evans added his own confessions. I have been secretly collecting biological samples from every alien species we encounter, not to hurt anyone, but because we are so afraid of what others might do to us that we want to be prepared for everything. The conversation was interrupted when more alien ships began arriving in the system. Word of the human truth-telling had spread through subspace communications, and delegations from dozens of species were coming to see this unprecedented event. The first to arrive was a science vessel from the crystalline hegemony, Drive Velthan. materialized on the Vorthik Bridge through an energy transport beam. He was a being made of living crystal who communicated through light patterns that the translators converted to speech. We have come to study what we believe must be a form of mental illness affecting your species. Dr. Velthen said to the humans, truth-telling between different species is considered a symptom of cognitive breakdown. But Dr. Campbell's honest response surprised him. We are not mentally ill. For the first time since joining the galactic community, humans are saying exactly what we think and feel. Despite our initial terror, most of us are finding it liberating. The constant stress of maintaining elaborate lies was making us sick, not healthy. Engineer Pete Sullivan had made progress understanding the modified communication system. The changes to our equipment are incredibly sophisticated. Whoever did this has access to technology from multiple species and detailed knowledge of human psychology. This was not a random act. Someone planned this very carefully. More ships continued arriving. The Altarian Collective sent observers. The Nebula Coalition dispatched diplomats. Even the mysterious Draconian Empire sent a representative to witness the truth-telling. Humans. Each new rival heard the same shocking revelations. Species after species admitted they had been hiding their real military capabilities, while secretly preparing for wars they all expected, but nobody wanted. The deception protocol had created exactly the situation it was meant to prevent. Security Chief Linda Foster found herself explaining human intelligence operations. We have been monitoring alien communications for 50 years. We know about your civil wars and resource shortages and internal conflicts that you hide from the Council. But we never acted on this information because we were too afraid of revealing that we had it. The Altarian observer asked the question everyone was thinking. If all species have been deceiving each other about their true capabilities, how can we ever trust anyone enough to prevent the wars we are all preparing for? It was Navigator Amy Torres who gave the answer that changed everything. Maybe the problem is not that we might fight each other. Maybe the problem is that we are also afraid of fighting, that we cannot work together to solve the real threats we all face. Ambassador Zeph Kaler looked thoughtful at these words. Our empire is not as strong as we pretend. We are facing internal rebellions in first-star systems, and our military is stretched too thin to handle them. We have been seeking new allies not for conquest, but for protection from other species we believe are planning to attack us. The crystalline observer Dr. Velthen made his own admission. Our hegemony is dying from a biological plague that affects our crystal-based life forms. We have been hiding this crisis while desperately searching for a cure. We pretend to be stable and prosperous, but in reality we may not survive another decade. One by one, the alien observers began sharing their own species' hidden problems. The Altarian Collective was running out of the rare elements their technology required. The Nebula Coalition was actually a group of refugees whose homeworld had been destroyed centuries ago. The Draconian Empire was facing a succession crisis that could tear their government apart. Dr. Campbell realized what was happening. Every species here has been suffering in isolation while maintaining lies that were supposed to protect us, but instead prevented us from getting the help we need. We have all been slowly dying alone while pretending everything was fine. But their conversation was interrupted by new alarms. Long-range sensors detected military fleets approaching the system from multiple directions. Not everyone in the galaxy approved of this truth-telling experiment, and some were coming to stop it by force. The most dangerous ships belonged to hardliner factions who believed that enforcing the deception protocol was worth starting a war over. They saw the spreading honesty as a weapon that could destroy galactic civilization, and they intended to eliminate it before it could spread further. Jake Morrison looked at the tactical display showing dozens of warships moving toward their position. It looks like we are about to find out if truth-telling really does lead to war, he said. The news about the human truth-telling spread across the galaxy faster than anyone expected. Within hours, every major government knew about the incident, and most were sending representatives to investigate. The Kepler 442 system became the most important place in known space almost overnight. Ships arrived from dozens of different species, creating the largest gathering of aliens in galactic history. Some came out of curiosity to see beings who could not lie. Others came to study what they thought was a dangerous new weapon. A few came to make sure the truth-telling did not spread to other species. Commander Jake Morrison watched the sensor displays as more vessels dropped out of hyperspace every few minutes. His small exploration ship was now surrounded by over 100 alien warships, representing 40 different civilizations. Most were just watching and waiting, but some looked ready for battle. The first crisis came when a Draconian battlecruiser demanded that all humans submit to immediate quarantine to prevent the spread of their truth-telling condition. War leader Thaxvor was a massive reptilian warrior covered in black scales and battle scars, who commanded the most feared military force in the galaxy. These creatures are diseased, Thaxvor declared over the communication channels that every ship could hear. Their inability to maintain proper diplomatic deception makes them dangerous to galactic stability. They must be isolated before this madness spreads to other species. But Dr. Lisa Campbell's response surprised everyone, including herself. We are not diseased. We are discovering that forced honesty is actually improving our mental health and our ability to solve problems. The constant stress of maintaining elaborate lies has been making humans sick for centuries. More evidence supporting this came from unexpected sources. The ship's medical officer, Dr. Carl Evans, had been monitoring the crew's psychological state. Since the truth-telling began, stress levels among the human crew have dropped by 60% since we started speaking. Honestly, sleep quality has improved. Anxiety and depression symptoms are decreasing. Whatever this condition is, it appears to be beneficial rather than harmful. This medical data created intense interest among alien scientists. Dr. Velthan from the Crystalline Hegemony requested permission to conduct detailed scans of human brain activity during truth-telling episodes. If honest communication actually reduces psychological stress rather than increasing it, this challenges fundamental assumptions about interspecies relations. He reported to the growing assembly of observers. Chief Engineer Pete Sullivan continued, working to understand how their communication system had been modified. His investigation led to a shocking discovery that he shared with everyone. The technology used to alter our translator is not from any single species. It combines Vorthic neural interface systems with crystalline quantum processors and Altarian biological components. Whoever built this had access to classified technology from multiple governments. The mystery deepened when similar communication modifications were discovered on ships from 3 other species. The truth-telling effect was not limited to humans. Someone had been secretly installing these devices across the galaxy and waiting for the right moment to activate them. Agent Kelly Barnes of Earth Intelligence Service had been traveling with the diplomatic mission. Undercover, she was compelled to reveal her true purpose to the assembled aliens. I was sent to spy on the Vorthic Empire and determine if they pose a military threat to Earth. But I have learned more about their actual capabilities and intentions in 3 days of honest conversation than in 5 years of intelligence gathering. Her confession triggered similar admissions from intelligence operatives, representing dozens of other species. Nearly every delegation included spies who had been watching each other, while pretending to be diplomats or scientists or traders. Navigator Amy Torres made a calculation that shocked everyone. If every species has been spying on every other species, while maintaining the pretense of peaceful relations, then we have been living in a state of Cold War for centuries without admitting it. The situation became more dangerous when hardliner military forces began taking aggressive positions around the system. War leader Thaxvor issued an ultimatum demanding that all truth-enhanced communication devices be destroyed immediately. This experiment ends now, he declared. The deception protocol exists because honest communication between species always leads to conflict. We will not allow these humans to destabilize galactic civilization with their dangerous honesty. But Ambassador Zeph Kaler surprised everyone by opposing the draconian demands. Perhaps it is time to question whether our current system is actually providing the stability we think it is, he said. The deception protocol has not prevented conflicts. It has simply made them more likely by ensuring that we never understand each other's true intentions. The debate became heated when representatives from multiple species began arguing about the risks and benefits of truth-telling. Some feared that honesty would lead to immediate warfare. Others suggested that their current system of universal deception was already pushing them toward conflict. Drive Campbell addressed the assembly with words that cut through the political arguments. "We have been so afraid of the wars that honest communication might cause that we ignored the wars that dishonest communication has already started. Every major galactic conflict in recent history began when someone's lies were exposed. At the worst possible moment, Security Chief Linda Foster provided military analysis that supported this argument. I have been studying battle records from the past century. 70% of military engagements happened because one side misunderstood the other's intentions due to diplomatic deception. We have been fighting wars caused by the very system we use to prevent wars." The tension reached a breaking point when long-range scanners detected a massive fleet approaching the system. Admiral Rick Mason was arriving with 12 human battleships carrying orders from Earth Command to either resolve the crisis or evacuate the Horizon crew. But something unprecedented happened when Admiral Mason's fleet entered communication range. The truth-enhanced devices on the Horizon automatically connected with similar equipment that had been secretly installed on the Earth fleet. Suddenly, the most senior human military officer in the sector found himself speaking with involuntary honesty to representatives of 40 alien species. "I came here to cover up this incident and protect Earth's secrets," Admiral Mason announced to the shocked assembly. "But I can see that our secrets are already exposed, and maybe that is not the disaster we thought it would be." The arrival of human military reinforcements caused panic among some alien factions, but others saw an opportunity. If the truth-telling could be controlled and managed, it might offer a way to build real trust between species. For the first time in galactic history, the question was whether they would get the chance to try or whether the hardliners would start shooting first. The Kepler 440 system had become a powder keg ready to explode. Over 100 ships from 43 different species surrounded the small human exploration vessel that had started everything. 3 distinct factions had formed among the assembled fleets, and tensions were rising toward the breaking point. Admiral Rick Mason's rival with the human battle group changed the balance of power, but not in the way anyone expected. When his flagship UES Defiance came within range of the truth-enhanced communication system, he found himself speaking with the same involuntary honesty that had affected the Horizon crew. "Command sent me here with orders to contain this situation by any means necessary," Mason announced to the assembled alien representatives. "Earth's government is terrified that our real condition will be exposed to hostile species who might take advantage of our weakness." War leader Thaxvor of the Draconian Empire saw this as proof of human deception. "You see how they plot and scheme even while pretending to speak truth," he declared to his allies. "These creatures cannot be trusted with or without their honesty disease." But Admiral Mason's next words shocked everyone, including the Draconians. "Our planet is not just facing ecological collapse. We have been hiding a population crisis and resource depletion and social breakdown for over 50 years. Earth has 12 billion people, and most of them will be dead within 5 years. If we cannot get help from alien technology, the revelation that humanity was facing extinction rather than planning conquest changed the entire dynamic of the crisis. Species that had viewed humans as a potential threat suddenly saw them as desperate refugees seeking survival. Drive Lisa Campbell took advantage of this shift to address the core issue. Every species here has been suffering in isolation while maintaining lies that prevented us from helping each other. We have all been slowly dying alone while pretending to be strong and independent." Her words triggered a cascade of admissions from alien representatives. The Vorthic Empire acknowledged they were facing civil war in multiple star systems. The crystalline hegemony revealed their species was being killed by a biological plague. The Nebula Coalition admitted they were refugees whose homeworld had been destroyed. Ambassador Zeph Kaler spoke for many when he said the deception protocol has not preserved peace. It has preserved the illusion of peace while we all prepared for wars nobody wanted. But the hardliner faction led by war leader Thaxvor was not convinced by these arguments. Honest communication caused the Great Silence War, he reminded the Assembly. Millions died when the Altarian Collective told the Centauri Republic exactly what they thought of their expansion policies. Truth-telling leads to violence and death. It was Dr. Campbell who provided the crucial insight that changed minds. The Great Silence War was not caused by honesty. It was caused by centuries of accumulated lies suddenly colliding with truth. The Altarian Collective and Centauri Republic went to war because they had been deceiving each other for so long that when the truth came out, neither side could believe it was genuine. Security Chief Linda Foster added historical evidence to support this argument. I have been analyzing galactic conflict records. Every major war in the past 3 centuries started not because someone told the truth, but because someone's lies were exposed. At the worst possible moment, the deception protocol has created the perfect conditions for catastrophic misunderstandings. The debate was interrupted by the arrival of a new player. A holographic projection appeared in the center of the alien assembly, showing a figure that many recognized. Keth Morvick had been a respected Galactic Council mediator for decades before disappearing mysteriously 5 years ago. I am the leader of the organization responsible for this experiment, Keth Morvick announced to the stunned delegates. We call ourselves the Truth Seekers, and we have been working for years to expose the failures of the deception protocol. The revelation that a secret organization had orchestrated the truth-telling incident sent shockwaves through the assembled fleets. Some viewed it as an act of terrorism, while others saw it as a necessary intervention to prevent galactic catastrophe. We chose humans for this demonstration because your species shows the greatest psychological strain from maintaining the deception protocol, Keth Morvick explained. We believed that if any race could survive the transition to honest communication, it would be yours. Engineer Pete Sullivan had finally understood how the communication modifications worked. The technology does not just remove deception filters. It can be calibrated to different levels of honesty. We can choose how much truth to share and when to share it. This discovery transformed the debate completely. The fear that truth-telling must be absolute and uncontrolled proved to be unfounded. Species could maintain privacy and dignity while still communicating with unprecedented honesty about important matters. Navigator Amy Torres demonstrated the calibrated system by addressing the assembly. With the system set to diplomatic truth rather than total honesty, I can tell you that humans have developed significant military technology for defensive purposes, but we have never intended to use these capabilities aggressively. Our greatest desire is to find allies, not enemies. War leader Thaxvor remained skeptical and demanded proof of human intentions. In an unprecedented display of trust, Admiral Mason agreed to allow Draconian observers aboard his flagship to inspect human military technology. When the Draconian inspection team discovered that human weapons were indeed primarily defensive, and that humans had been more frightened of their galactic neighbors than threatening to them, the hardliner position began to crumble. Dr. Campbell proposed what she called the New Truth Accords. This would be a voluntary system where species could choose to engage in enhanced honesty communication for specific negotiations or crises while maintaining normal diplomatic protocols. For routine interactions, the proposal gained support when alien mathematicians presented calculations showing that conflicts between species using truth-enhanced communication dropped to nearly zero, while cooperation and successful problem-solving increased dramatically. One by one, species began agreeing to participate in limited trials of the New Truth system. The crystalline hegemony offered to share honest medical data about their biological crisis. In exchange for human agricultural expertise, the Nebula Coalition revealed the location of their destroyed homeworld, enabling a joint rebuilding effort. Even the Draconian Empire, after extensive internal debate, agreed to experiment with truth-enhanced military communications to prevent accidental conflicts. But the hardest test was still to come. Would the New Truth system actually work when species tried to solve real problems together? Or would honest communication lead to the same conflicts that the deception protocol was designed to prevent? 6 months had passed since the truth-telling incident that changed galactic history. Commander Jake Morrison stood in the observation deck of the rebuilt UES Horizon and watched ships from 17 different species working together in Earth orbit. The sight would have been impossible to imagine when his mission began, but now it seemed like the most natural thing in the galaxy. The new Truth Accords had been signed by 38 species and ratified by the Galactic Council. After months of careful negotiation, the system was not perfect and conflicts still rose between different civilizations. But the secret arms races and paranoid isolation of the Deception Protocol era were ending. Dr. Lisa Campbell had established the Galactic Institute for Honest Communication on a neutral space station where representatives from dozens of species learned the psychological techniques humans had developed for coping with truth-telling. The demand for training was so high that she had to expand the facility 3 times. The most surprising thing she told Jake during one of their regular meetings is how much other species wanted to try honest communication once they realized it was possible to control and manage it instead of fearing it. Earth itself had become the center of an unprecedented cooperative effort. The ecological crisis that had seemed hopeless was being resolved through the combined knowledge and technology of multiple species. Vorthic energy systems were cleaning the atmosphere while crystalline biological processors were restoring damaged ecosystems, and Altarian terraforming technology was rebuilding entire continents. Admiral Rick Mason had been promoted to head the new Interspecies Defense Coordination Council, where military forces from different civilizations work together, using truth-enhanced communication systems to prevent the kind of misunderstandings that had caused so many conflicts in the past. "We still have disagreements and territorial disputes," he reported to the Global Council. "But now we argue about real issues instead of fighting shadow wars based on false assumptions about each other's intentions." The crystalline hegemonies biological plague had been cured using a combination of human medical knowledge and Nebula Coalition regeneration technology. In return, the crystallines shared their quantum computing systems, which advanced human science by centuries almost overnight. The Vorthic Empire's civil war ended when honest communication revealed that most of the rebellious systems had legitimate grievances that could be addressed through negotiation rather than military force. Ambassador Zeph Kaler had been promoted to lead the new Department of Interspecies Relations and was considered a hero for his role in preventing a galactic war. Even the Draconian Empire had benefited from the changes. War leader Thaxvor discovered that many of the threats his people had been preparing to fight existed only in the paranoid assumptions created by the Deception Protocol. He was now working with former enemies to address real security challenges that affected multiple species. The Nebula Coalition's destroyed homeworld was being rebuilt as a joint project involving technology and resources from 8 different civilizations. What had once been a dead rock was becoming a garden world that would serve as a symbol of what honest cooperation could accomplish. But the most significant change was in how first contact with new species was handled. The Horizon had been refitted as the flagship of a new exploration fleet, dedicated to meeting unknown civilizations using new truth protocols. Instead of the traditional deception-based approach, Jake Morrison remained as the ship's captain and had successfully established peaceful relations with previously unknown species, using honest communication from the very first meeting. The results were remarkable compared to historical first contact procedures that often took decades to move beyond mutual suspicion. Chief Engineer Pete Sullivan had become the galaxy's leading expert on truth-enhanced communication technology. His modifications to the original system had made it possible for species to gradually build trust through controlled honesty, rather than being forced into absolute truth-telling like the original malfunction had done. The key insight he explained to a gathering of alien engineers was that trust has to be built slowly through repeated, honest interactions. You cannot force beings who have been lying to each other for centuries to suddenly tell the complete truth about everything. Navigator Amy Torres had overcome her fear of alien contact and was now training the next generation of human explorers in honest diplomacy techniques. Her experience with involuntary truth-telling had made her uniquely qualified to help others cope with the psychological challenges of abandoning deception-based communication. Medical Officer Dr. Carl Evans had established joint research programs with alien scientists that were producing medical breakthroughs at an unprecedented rate. Diseases that had plagued multiple species for millennia were being cured through shared knowledge and collaborative research. Security Chief Linda Foster had developed new defensive strategies based on honest communication with potential threats, rather than preparing for wars based on worst-case assumptions. Her work had prevented 3 potential conflicts from escalating into actual violence. The Truth Seekers organization led by Keth Morvick had come out of hiding and been recognized as an official interspecies institution dedicated to promoting honest communication and preventing the kind of systematic deception that had nearly destroyed galactic civilization. We took an enormous risk when we sabotaged the human communication system, Keth Morvick admitted during a public ceremony honoring the Horizon crew, but we believed that continuing the deception protocol would eventually lead to a war that would destroy everyone. The ceremony took place on Earth, where representatives from all 43 species that had signed the New Truth Accords gathered to celebrate the first anniversary of what historians were calling the Great Honesty Revolution. Jake Morrison stood before the assembled delegates and reflected on how much had changed since that first terrifying moment when his crew could not lie to the Vorthik ambassador. We learned that the thing we feared most about honest communication was not the truth itself, but our fear of speaking it, he told the gathering. Sometimes the most dangerous thing is not what might happen if we tell the truth, but what will definitely happen if we keep lying to each other. The galaxy was not perfect, and species still disagreed about many important issues, but they were finally talking to each other honestly about their real problems instead of fighting shadow wars based on imaginary threats. The New Truth system had not eliminated conflict, but it had made cooperation possible in ways that had been unthinkable under the deception protocol. As Jake looked up at the stars from Earth's recovering surface, he knew that humanity had given the galaxy something more valuable than any technology or resource. They had given everyone the courage to speak the truth and the wisdom to listen. When others did the same, the truth seekers' desperate gamble had succeeded beyond their wildest hopes, and the galaxy would never be the same again.